we're going to get into the specifics of the tank. Now it's one large tank assembly divided in the center. This side is emulsion, the other side is water. These tanks are made out of ASTM 572. It's a heavy duty steel, it's corrosion resistant. The emulsion that's in here is a cationic material. It does have an acid in it, so the material needs to be able to handle that type of ingredients, right? And obviously the water being a corrosive as well. So on the emulsion side tank, we have a clean out. The clean out is one of those things that you hope you never need, but when you do, it's critical. We are dealing with chemistry, and if something goes wrong with the emulsion, which it does from time to time, and you have to get in here and clean it out, that clean out is a critical piece of it. On the top of the tank, we'll get some videos later about that. We have a large access lid. We've got a smaller flip open lid that's pressurized so that it'll vent if the pressure builds up in the tank. It'll also allow vacuum. There's a little S-pipe with a mushroom cap on there to allow air to get into the tank. On the inside of that little S-pipe with a mushroom cap, there is a cheese block on the inside. It's a metal block with holes drilled in it that allows us to get airflow. So as we are emptying the tank, we've got to be able to get air into the tank so that we don't create a vacuum for the pump. That block over time will build up and it can close off and cause an air restriction. So it's a maintenance issue over a period of years that we'll need to make sure we clean. You need to know about it, and there's ways that we can troubleshoot and determine whether that's an issue or not. We can discuss that in further videos. So we've got the emulsion tank. We've got a catwalk here and a safety chain. So if we have to go up and we're double checking, we're filling the material, we want to have a visual on the tank level, we have a way to get up there and maintain that at a safe height. It's got a full catwalk and the safety chain, so you get up there, lock your safety chain, and you're in a safe area to be able to work and be able to see into the tank. There's also a dipstick inside the emulsion tank. So if we have to know exactly how much material we have in there, we're not sure, we have a dipstick to be able to measure that volume. It does explain the placement and what the measurements are on the dipstick in the operations manual. On this side of the tank, we have there is a mechanical float. The mechanical float is tied to this outside lever. We do, when we're setting this up in the factory, we do calibrate that so that it, with the water levels, it matches our outside gauge, and you'll be able to see that. It's a little dark in here, so it's hard to see at this point. And then I also have an indicator, electronic indicator. That is a low-level indicator. You'll see that the arm of the float moves when it comes down and gets empty, or almost empty. It gets to that point, and the indicator will trip that electronic sensor, and it will tell the system to shut down so that we don't end up with a dry mix. That we're running material out, resurface on our roads, and we run out of emulsion oil. This will prevent that from happening, and it shuts off the automatic sequencing system. There's a gauge. There's a gauge right here, temperature gauge, on the tank. A recent question was asked, why do we have a temperature gauge on there? Emulsion, because again, we're dealing with chemistry. The emulsion from the factory can come in, or from the plant, can come in very hot. If it's too hot, we can't use it. We have to let it cool down because it can be so reactive. It'll make our chemistry go so fast we start plugging up the machine, it won't work well. So we need to make sure that we are 120, 130 degrees maximum on that temperature. If it's over that, we've got to let it cool down. It comes out pretty hot out of the emulsion plant. If they're hauling it in an insulated tanker, it can maintain that heat for a long period of time. So it's important that we have that, and this is Even though we don't use it that frequently, it is important to know what we have so that we get the best performance of our materials. So that's our emulsion tank. On the other side, we have the identical same thing for the water. We've got a mechanical float, and we'll see a picture of that in a few minutes, where the mechanical float is indicating what our levels are. We've got the access lid on the top. The access lid is a 24-inch lid. Is that about what it is, I think? It's got a small access lid, so for serviceability, but if we have to get into the tank for any reason, both of those lids can unbolt and come off, and it's a large opening, so it's easy to get in, easier to get in, to do maintenance inside those tanks. On the emulsion side, we have our filter underneath the tank, so our plumbing is coming straight in. This emulsion filter has 2 inlets. So I've got a knife valve here. That's closed. That's open. Another one on this side. Those are feeding the filter. It's a fairly long filter. Because these materials have latex in them, especially if we're doing microsurfacing, if you just had one inlet, it would be fairly easy for that to probably get overcome with materials and maybe restrict our flow. By having the 2 allows us to get as much material flowing through before this filter needs to be pulled out and cleaned. It does filter from the outside in. So as it filters from the outside through those 2 knife valves, it flows through this tube, which comes out the inside of the filter, down through this bottom pipe into our emulsion pump. That flow is important to understand when we look at our valves. The RoadSaver has the ability to self-load. Typically, our tankers will have a transfer pump or trash pump to move that emulsion from the tanker into the machine. If they don't, the RoadSaver can take care of it. If that pump fails for some reason, and that happens, we can still keep running. We have the ability to self-load. We have 2 ways of self-loading. We need to filter the material. So if I hook into this port from the tank, I'll be doing the same as I'm pulling from here. I'll be pulling from the outside of the filter through the inside of the filter, and I can self-load. If my material in the tanker has a filter or is, for whatever reason, we know that's a very clean material, then we can use this port. This is directly into the pump. We are not going to filter the material if we come in through here. This will filter, this will not filter. But allows us to, we'll close, if we're doing that, we'll close these 2 knife valves. We'll hook up to either one of these, depending on what our needs are. We'll leave this valve here open, and then we get ready. We'll hook up our valves. We'll turn our emulsion pump on through the electronics. That's this pump right here, and it'll run, suck the material out of the tanker, run up through our valving, back through the recirculation, into the tank. It's a little bit slower than if we were doing a trash pump off the tanker, but absolutely works, and there are some places that that's just the only way they do it. So it's nice to have that redundance for operation. So that's the emulsion tank.